Today we're talking about the Motocraft 2150. In particular, we're talking about the Amazon version of the Motocraft 2150. Trying to make better videos for you guys, so I bought some camera gear. I'm going to be doing a little more talking to the camera in this video. It's really weird to me, so go easy on me. It might look a little weird. I might be doing weird shifty stuff. I don't know, but I got the Amazon 2150 carburetor there, and I got an AFR gauge. I got thousands of miles on it at this point, and I feel like I really got it tuned damn good. So this is the carburetor. It is just like the Ford Motocraft carburetor. There's virtually no differences. Most of the stuff that's on the Ford version you can bolt onto this version. A lot of people might tell you, hey, the jets won't line up. I'm gonna put a post in the description. It's gonna show you the exact carburetor I got, and I'll tell you the jets swap over, the linkages swap over, the bolts swap over. It's got good gaskets. It's got everything you would need to get a truck started. So if you just got into this kind of stuff, whether it's a F-150, a F-100, F-250, Bronco, it could be a Jeep, anything that takes this carburetor right out of the box, very, very simple setup. You know, setting it up to like your idler screws down at the bottom. Put them out about 1.5 turns, making sure that your butterflies on the bottom show you a perfect square of, I don't know if it's your venturi or what exactly the correct term is, but make sure everything on it is nice and tight. Set your choke just straight up and down. And if your truck won't start after that, it's not a carburetor issue. From what I found on these older trucks, most of your tuning is going to be in the ignition system, with the timing, with the plugs, with the plug wires. You can have a pretty terrible carburetor and it's still going to run. I'm going to show you that later in this video, but I put 63 jets in and it came with 48s. Put 63s in, still went around the block, still started, still purred up great. But I'll tell you, it wasn't even reading on the gauge. It was reading hard 10s or lower. So it was way too rich, but it got the job done. Now, I could argue that maybe the carburetor comes a little on the lean side, but you can tune for that. You can tune for that in your ignition. So what I would recommend is getting the carburetor, getting it on your truck, getting everything tuned before you start messing with the carburetor. That's kind of a lesson I learned. But yeah, it's a damn good carburetor. I'm gonna show you how I got it all tuned up. But I mean, really, this thing is exactly what you need for just cruising around. Now, I'm pretty sure they're only about a 400 CFM. I think it's 1.08 Venturi. I'll flash that up on the screen. The carburetor is small. The carburetor is a dual barrel. That's what you kind of have to keep in mind. For tunability, perfect carburetor. For overall use and function, great carburetor. I mean, I can do burnouts in this Bronco with everything being stock. I mean, I got just about a stock exhaust, pretty much stock intake, stock carburetor, stock ignition system, and I can light the tires up. I couldn't when I first started. It would barely run, but now I got this thing dialed in, and let me tell you, it'll scoot. So I would start with a 2150. I have other carbs here on the shelf that I do plan on putting in to the Bronco eventually. So right here we have a Summit 650 CFM, and this is a dual pumper carburetor. It's got the diaphragm. It's very similar to this Holley here, this double pumper carb. These are both 4 barrels, and I have a 4-barrel intake. But that's for the future. You know, the main point should be get your motor running top notch, get it dialed in great before you start putting money into it. I mean, you cannot go wrong with a $100 carburetor when it's brand new, clean, ready to go. It comes with gaskets, comes with damn near everything you need. Now, you can get used carburetors, but you don't know what the jets are. You don't know how it's set up. You don't know what's what on them. And honestly, it kind of scares me. It scares me to put those carburetors in because I know this is running so darn good. And I think first maybe I'll put the intake on, then I'll put an adapter plate on, then I'll put the 2150 back on. But for now, I'm gonna run this carb. I'm probably gonna run this for another 3,000 miles before I end up switching it out. And that carburetor is gonna go on a shelf, and it's gonna be a very important carburetor because I'm gonna be using it for just about all my engine testing in the future. So this is a 4-barrel intake off of, I wanna say a Thunderbird. I could look these numbers up and tell you for sure, but I think it was a Thunderbird 500. And this is eventually going into my dad's Highboy, but I know that carb set up for a 351. I know it's gonna run just fine on here, and that's gonna at least get me a baseline. I mean, the previous owner put all new stuff in this. I have no idea what's what. I mean, it had water in it. I don't know what you can see on camera. You can almost see the shiny pistons in there. But I don't know. I got to tear this thing apart just to figure out what was done to it. And at least by doing that, I'm eliminating fuel. I know my fuel is going to be prime time. I know that this Amazon carburetor is going to do me really good. So it's going to save me potentially hundreds of dollars getting this motor running. So what my main concerns are going to be timing, engine setup, like are the valves set correctly? Are the gaskets installed correctly? Was the distributor put in right? Is the cam chain on right? You know, all that simple stuff. So this motor is going to be torn down, but in the meantime, I'm going to show you exactly what I did to make this carburetor as good as it is. But truth be told, it's not much. So I got done editing that video, and it got a little long-winded, so I decided I'm just going to put all the carb tuning on next week's video. I upload every Wednesday, so if you're interested in seeing how I use the AFR gauge to tune the 2150 carburetor, then stay tuned for that. But here's what I'm working on now. New Summit carburetor, new intake. So there's stuff moving along with this project. I'm about 4 videos ahead right now of what you're watching. So if you like what you see, subscribe, follow along. I mean, we got a lot of cool stuff coming. We took a big camping trip, a lot of motor upgrades, a lot of maintenance upgrades, a lot of driving. So it's really coming together. I look forward to seeing what the channel can do.